Hello, good evening and welcome ladies and gentlemen. It's Friday night. It can only mean one thing. It's another round of the Cammus Community Cup here, powered by Simsport Racing International, broadcast on Simsport Solutions and hosted on Simracing.gp. Very good evening, David Christie here with you yet again for the halfway point of this season. Joining me as ever, the young, talented, the gifted Mr. Dylan Pick. Very warm welcome, Dylan. Hope you've had a great week, buddy.
I've been alright. The heat's been killing me, but I'm here. We're here for some good racing. I am looking forward to it. We're in our home country. We've got Snetterton. It's always good racing, so round 3 is going to be a treat.
I'm feeling the excitement for Snetterton from here, buddy. Listen, the temperatures may have died down, but the temperature out there on track is certainly going to be picking up, especially with so many bombshells to drop on you tonight. You can see there the championship standing so far. Darren McCormack currently in tied position in the tied lead with Robbie Stapleford and Igor Ogorodnikov on 44 points. Now, you will remember he took the race win last time out. That race win was stripped from him and he was demoted to second place. We'll talk more about that through the rest of the broadcast. You can see Luke Whitehead there in 4th position, Eric Delfante in 5th position, joint alongside Trevor Wenham and Tinko van der Velde. Then Isaac Price in 8th. It's joint 9th place for Mikhail Baikov and One Ko, and I believe Mikhail Baikov also is on his final warn as well. Matteo Petricini and Aidan Walsingham in joint 11th place there. But as you said there, Dylan, Snetterton is the home of the race tonight here. 2.9 miles. We had a little bit of a chat off air about this track. It's a track that I've raced personally in real life. I was enamoured with it, with my little 1 litre car that was there, but personally it's a difficult track taking these 500 brake horsepower GT3 machines around.
Well, I'm not old enough to personally drive, so I can't, give your first-hand experience. But yeah, it's not the widest of tracks. It's very tight, very tricky, very technical. It's going to really test the drivers on their patience as well, especially if you're stuck behind another driver trying to find the right spot. It is going to be a real test of patience. So it is going to really. It's not the longest of races either, so it's picking your move to the T, because if you get it wrong, it's not going to end well. It's a difficult track, definitely. It's not one I personally enjoy doing, but if the drivers enjoy it, as long as they produce good racing, I'm not going to complain. Yeah,
for sure. And another thing that we've got to drop tonight is that it feels like this is essentially the summer holidays, because a whole swathe of drivers either occupied elsewhere or otherwise unable to take part tonight, including many of the championship contenders. I believe Darren McCormack actually is otherwise engaged, and if I remember rightly, I think he's away across to another country, aka France, this weekend for an event as well. You've got other platforms hosting another very, very high profile endurance race this weekend. A lot of drivers away for that, and really this kind of blows the championship, Dylan, wide open.
Yeah, I mean, I know McCormack's not here. It is Robbie Stapleford and Ogorodnikov here. I think they are. I know Baikov is not here because of the prior instances. He's trying to take some time away. So, yeah, Ogorodnikov and Stapleford, it's going to be up to them really to get at it. And they are 1st and 3rd, I believe, right now in qualifying. So, to them, really, they were brilliant in Bathurst, so it would be nice to see a repeat of that. It would be nice to see some other drivers getting involved as well. There's Trevor Wenham, he's in 5th, I believe, or joint 5th, he's up there. So Eric Delfante is also. The championship is wide open. We said this last week, that one race can change a massive, because the amount of points difference, so especially with certain drivers not being here, one good race can change everything. And yeah, I mean, last week the championship was blown wide open, where the top runners in Bathurst were sort of down in back end of the top 10, so I think it's going to change every race really, not just here. So it's a really exciting championship.
It really is, and lots to play for as well, as we see Chris Pinchbeck wearing what looks like some Razer headphones and trying to think, that looks like the Reverb VR headset that he's got on as well. It doesn't make much difference that he's got on. Actually, it's my one. It's the Rift S that he's got on. It doesn't make any difference in terms of the different ones that you've got, but you can see also Chris there using a direct drive wheel, and that brings us nicely into what everyone is racing for this season. Lots and lots of prizes on offer. First place in the championship will win themselves a Cammus DD Base and steering wheel. Second place in the championship gets a Cammus pedal set, and so it does third place as well. But then going on to the driver's prize draw, basically anyone, including the qualification races and the championship races, if the driver finishes no more than 3 laps behind the race winner, they get an entry into the prize draw to win a Cammus DD Base, a direct drive base, and a steering wheel as well. So you can imagine drivers racking up plenty of them through the season. And you at home have got a chance to win yourself a Cammus direct drive base and steering wheel as well. All you have to do is simply add a comment onto any 2 of our Cammus Community Cup live streams here on YouTube, then head over to the link in the description below, the form, and fill out your details, and we will get you entered into that competition. So that is a chance for you at home to win a Cammus direct drive base and steering wheel. And of course we have to talk a little bit about the Cammus steering wheels as well. They are obviously industrial grade servo direct drive motors that are in. And what's that mean? Well, it's the new generation of steering wheels. So back in the day, back when myself and Steve proudly behind the scenes on the cameras here today were little nippers, our steering wheels that we had, they were all done with cogs and belts and very, very noisy kind of things, and they weren't very precise, but they were good fun. But nowadays the big boys, the cool kids, use these direct drive motors, and they were originally used in industry for like sewing machines and stuff like that, until one clever kid thought, right, let's actually use this as a steering wheel. And they are incredibly powerful, incredibly precise, and they give you a proper wheels on the road feeling. And having used a direct drive wheel, yeah, it's night and day the difference between your belt drive wheels. So definitely some very, very valuable products on offer through this championship. You can head over to Cammus.com and check out all of the products that they've got over there, and get your boots filled on that one. But back to the race itself. We're in the middle of qualifying here, and yet again, Dylan, actually, no, I was about to go and say, BMWs seem to be very, very popular here in the championship tonight, but actually the Audis seem to make a nice little performance so far in qualifying.
Yeah, I think it was one of the drivers, one of the top 3 that we interviewed last week. I think it was Darren McCormack that said that the Audi would be strong around here, and so far he's been he's been daylight spot on with that one. Eric Delfanti, I know he's been thereabouts, but currently provisional pole, only by 12 milliseconds, but it's something. And Petrocchini, he's not been in the top 10 really, he's been floating around it, but nothing we've seen too much of him, so it's good to see him up there in third as well. And looking at the times on the tower on the left hand side of your screen, it is very close for a lot of it. I mean, we saw in Bathurst there was like 3-second gaps in the top 23, but now everything under a second and a half. It is a very close qualifying, so it's good to see that we've got a close field here today.
Yeah, it certainly is. You can see Chris Vickers there for Simsport Racing International just making his way around. And what we'll try and do with 3 minutes left to go, we'll try and see if we can actually go on board with Chris Vickers and have a little look and talk you through the circuit here. He's just coming over the start-finish straight here down into turn 1. This is Rich's a deceptively difficult corner here, because you're having to let off the power way more than you think here. And well, there you go. That's why, because he's already binned his lap, and that is going to be it for Chris Vickers. You can just see just in front there, that is the run down to Montreal here. This is Matteo Petrocchini, so we pick up where we left off with Chris here. Again, want to feed out the power as soon as you possibly can, then through into the left-hander here at Palmer. Again, another deceptively difficult corner, because it goes on for way longer than you think, and it's so easy to wash the car out here. Now, coming up to Agostini, this is a very, very, very tight left-hander here, and it's very easy to understeer off into the right hand side, but you want to keep it tucked in tight, get on the power, get it out of here, and then along to the left hander at Hamilton. Fortune favours the brave out here. If you can possibly keep it pinned, then you know, all credit to you, but for me it's just a little bit of a lift and just a dab to get that done. Through Augie's that right hander then, and then through Williams as well, and we join back onto this incredible Bentley straight. Now this is coming up to the corners that give me the fear of death on this circuit here, because this is the corner here. I had a huge moment coming down in here. The tail end swung out, and it's this curb right here on the right at Nelson. If you clip that car is going airborne on at least 2 wheels. Down through the bomb hole then, again a fast right hander here, and it's again, you've got to try and be so brave through Coram here, and that's exactly what happens, because you take too much speed through, the car jitters under the weight as the traction buckles and you cannot go any faster, and then you end up understeering straight off at the exit of Coram there. You've got one more corner after that, which is going to be Murray's, which is again a tight left hander, and then it's onto the acceleration down the start finish straight here. So you know, it's not the longest circuit at 2.9 miles, but it manages to fit in a ridiculous amount of action.
Yeah, I mean, it is, there's chaos everywhere sort of thing. It's a very tricky testing track, which we've seen a lot of people go off in qualifying, which shows the nature of how inch perfect it was. And one thing I did pick on whilst I was following around on it with Matteo Petrocchini, how pin perfect it was through 8 to 9, Brundle and Nelson. That was very good, nailing every apex, sending it through, flat out turn 8, and then just getting on the brakes at turn 9, nailing it, avoiding the curb, very well spot on through there. Then he made a mistake coming through 11. So it is testament to, we followed 2 laps and neither of them got finished, so it shows how tricky this track is, and it is it's going to be a chaotic race in my opinion.
Well, that's a shared opinion from here, because I think it's a very stop-start circuit. You know, you're on the accelerator, then you're on the brake for a tight corner, and the one thing that I worry about is patience with these drivers. They've not really shown too much of it through the season so far, and like you say, I think there is going to be the potential for a lot of incidents through this race, and thankfully maybe it's only a 60-minute race compared to last week's 90-minute race that we had. But at the moment then, it looks like Robbie Stapleford is on top guns then, ahead of Eric Delfanti in that 71, Igor Ogorodnikov in the 41 in third place. But Eric Delfanti out the final corner then, out of Murray's. What can he do coming across the line? Can he do anything? That is a no from the looks of it. No, excuse me, because I keep forgetting that the start finish line is a lot further down than you think, and right at the last gasp, out of absolutely nowhere, Dylan, Eric Delfanti takes pole position.
That went from 0 to 100 very quickly, but yes, it is a very good lap. Is Robbie Stapleford still on tracks? It's only 5/100ths of a second, and it's been very back and forth between them whilst he was going on a bit. Throughout this qualifying session, they've been jumping each other a lot. Igor Ogonodikov, he's only a 10th behind. Everyone's still really on a lap here as we ride with Regan Mitchell, currently sat in 8th. It's nice to see him well up the order as he's coming through the final bit of the lap. Can he improve? He's 6/10ths down through turn 11. That was turn 10, sorry, now through turn 11, really pushing it to the limits here. Can he nail it? Drifting a bit wide, took it in for a late apex through the final turn 12 at Murray's, a bit wide there. Can he improve? A lot of drivers in the pit lane now, so he's one of the only drivers actually on track. Can he move himself up the order? As we'll try and spot yellow flags out, that's probably going to ruin it. No, he jumps up to 4th. Even I got caught out there by the late line, so he jumps up to 4th. Brilliant lap there by Regan Mitchell at the end. Yeah,
that's a brilliant lap then. So the Rocket Simsport driver gets himself up into 4th position. Eric Delfanti taking pole position then from Robbie Stapleford in 2nd place by just 5/100ths of a second. Igor Ogorodnikov in 3rd position, with Regan Mitchell joining him on row 2 in that 4th position there. So a 60-minute race here at Snetterton. And again, just very quickly going over to some of the YouTube comments that we've had coming in. A lot of love for Chris Vicker in the pick and pick. Pinchbeck getting a bit of shout out as well. And also just a comment made by Wouter Voigt about drivers that are able to do VR for you know, endurance events and things like that. We've spoken about how physically demanding these endurance events are, and you know, 60 to 90 minutes on a VR headset in a sim, is that something that you think you could give a little shot to, Dylan?
I think we alluded to it last week, that it surely must have some strain on your neck. I don't think I can. I think I'd get a bit dizzy after one lap. I know you have said you can't go back to just racing on a normal monitor, so you probably are better equipped to that sort of thing, knowing firsthand. But I don't think I could do it personally. I think it would be too much weight for my tiny head.
I've done it quite a few times actually in iRacing, doing like 24 hours with friends and stuff, and yeah, it's pretty draining. But anyway, back to the point at hand, because these guys are going to very much enjoy tonight. 60-minute dash for the cash here at Snetterton. As we said, Eric Delfanti on pole position alongside Robbie Stapleford. Igor Ogorodnikov in third position with Regan Mitchell in fourth. On row 3 is Matteo Patricini and Trevor Venom in sixth position. Seventh position for Mullard and Simone Iezza in eighth position. Row 5 is going to be Adrian Antamarchi and Dan Lenson. Row 6 is going to be One Ko alongside Aidan Walsingham. Row 7 is going to be Romain Jacquart and Mark Brophy. Row 8 is Lucas Seedor and James Meads. And then you've got the Audi of Giovanni Pipo alongside Ant Brown for 17th and 18th position. 19th and 20th is going to be, 20th and 21st is going to be Aaron Walker and Andrew Richardson. 22nd and 23rd is going to be Yannick Valenduc. And 23rd is going to be Chris Vickers. Alongside Chris is going to be UC Nairola. 25th and 26th is going to be Sean Drysdale and Eileen Zildzovic. And then 27th and 28th is going to be Michael Goff alongside Pinchy, Chris Pinchbeck, back there towards the back of the grid, with Pavel Schutzin all by himself at the back of the grid there. A very even spread of cars. You've got, 5 BMWs in the top 10, 3 Audis, a Honda, a Porsche, and literally no idea who is going to come out on top tonight.
Eric Delfante's looked quick, but Ogorodnikov, you have to say, he's got a race win under his belt here, so he knows how to get it done. But I think, personally, it's Robbie Stapleford's time to get a win on the board, so my money's on him tonight.
Well, that actually, I cannot not see that happening. That's a very, very educated and well thought out guess there. Actually, I think you'd have some safe money on Robbie Stapleford, certainly from that point on. However, you do have Big Bad Igor Ogorodnikov in third place, and Regan Mitchell as well, with that fantastic qualifying place there. But what we want to know in YouTube chat is we want to know who you guys at home are supporting out here, so you can feel free. We don't have the spam button here, so feel free to spam away for the next 5 minutes until we get bored and ban you all. But with a minute left to go before the race away to begin here, and slightly depleted grids, 29 cars, it's still going to be ridiculously busy out on there. What do you think the drivers are going to want to do in this first 5-10 minutes here?
Not crash. I mean, finding some space on the track is probably what's needed around Snetterton. It's like we said, it's not the easiest of tracks. It's very stop-start. It's very tight. You don't want to be sort of getting into 3-car battles. You want to be finding your own space on track and just getting into a bit of a rhythm here. It's, even though it's only a short 60-minute race, I think the drivers that can get into a good rhythm and just be patient, the race will come to them here. It's not one that's going to be won by the scrappy ones. It's going to be the ones that are won like the Robbie Stapleford's, that are calm and collected.
Well, that's exactly what we are about to see, and yeah, it's crazy again from personal experience just how absolutely spot on this track is in Assetto Corsa Competizione. It looks absolutely fantastic, but I don't think the driver's going to have much time to sit back and enjoy the virtual views here that they are going to have of this Norfolk countryside, because it's all going to be on the go very, very shortly. The pace lap is about to get going underway, and there'll be led round by Eric Delfanti, and a chance for yourselves at home to get involved in this. As we said, anyone commenting on at least 2 of the Cammus Community Cup videos here on Simsport Racing International, as long as you fill in that form below in the video description, then you can get yourself entered in with a chance of winning a fantastic Cammus direct drive wheelbase and wheel as well. So it looks like Matteo Petrocchini has got a bit of support, Eric Delfante, and that's about all I've seen so far. Now, one of the drivers that we haven't really spoken about so far, Ben Mullard in 7th position. I just noticed a little bit of support in for him there. A driver really that we've not seen anything from so far in this championship.
No, like you've pointed out, yeah, I don't think we've actually, out of the 2.5 hours we've had of racing this season, we've not had him on camera at all, I don't believe. So it's good that we've got a new face up there in the sort of top 10, but we can have a bit of, we can see more of him, because yeah, like I don't think we've actually seen any camera time of him. So it's good that he's up there and fighting for some good points.
Yeah, it certainly is. And the other thing as well is the fact that we're consummate professionals here right now. We take this very, very seriously. But with it being Snetterton, the one thing that you've got in the back of your mind as a commentator is that little jokey comment about a roulette wheel and placing your bets about how many cars are going to go flying off in the first lap here. I'm going to give these guys and girls the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say that we're going to have a clean first lap. Now watch it be absolute carnage after I've said that. When you said about for the first 10 minutes though, I think that's absolutely spot on. The number one priority has to be, above all else, is keeping damage free, no matter what the cost. It doesn't matter if you go all the way to the back of the blooming grids. You have to keep that car in as pristine condition as you possibly can to make sure you've got the best chance of catching up with these cars here. But you can see coming through Brundle and Nelson right now. That's that curb on the left hand side there. It's on the driver's right, on the right hand at Nelson there. That is going to be the kiss of death for so many drivers here tonight. But it looks like Dylan, getting ready to go racing here. And yeah, this is now starting to get a bit serious.
Oh, Eric Delfante's still smiling. He smiled when he pulled off the grid for the formation lap, so it's nice to see we've got some. He's looking very positive. He's looking confident about tonight, and why wouldn't he be? He's put it on pole position, so it's good that we're seeing some smiley faces. He's looking positive. I'm feeling positive. Are you ready for this?
Certainly. So round the final corner then, as we get ready to go live for the third round of 5 in the Cammus Community Cup here on Simsport Racing International, powered by Simsport Solutions and hosted on Simracing.gp. David Christie and Dylan Pick here with you for the entirety of the race tonight. Let's get going here at Snetterton for 60 minutes that could possibly be absolutely pivotal for the championship. There we go, the green flag flies, and it's a great start there from Eric Delfante. Leaves Robbie Stapleford to the clutches of everybody else, but that is going to be Yiga Rokorodnikov up the inside there to secure his third position. Everyone looks to be through turn 1 successfully. We've got 2 cars off in the background. They're going to try and rejoin. It looks like they managed to get going, but there's obviously going to be the chaos. We've got 3 cars round. 2 successfully get out of there and leaving 1 car facing the wrong way, and I believe that is going to be the 144 of Giuseppe Nerola that is come a cropper at this early stage of the race. But we're already down into Agostini then, this tight left-hander, and you can see Robbie Stapleford. He's already got his eyes set on your race leader Eric Delfante. The target is acquired and the lock tone is absolutely bursting the eardrums of Robbie Stapleford right now. That's a bit wide there from Eric Delfante. Robbie Stapleford right on the back end. He's just going to be waiting to possibly try and get the toe down here onto the Bentley straight here. What can the BMW do on the back of Eric Delfante if he wants to risk making a move right now? Because it could be that he's just wanting to duck in, and it has a little look to the outside, but that's not going to be the case. And to be honest with you, touching every wooden surface that I've got here, Dylan, as they come through Brundle and Nelson for the top 15, the top 20, that is a remarkable opening lap.
Yeah, everyone's also starting to find their space a bit, but I think I counted cars going about 5 wide in towards turn 1 down the main straight, and it had me wince a bit, but it wasn't as chaotic as it could have been, so it's nice that the drivers are keeping it together, and we're just having a nice train following through. There are a bit of cars going off here and there, that's to be expected, but for the sort of track that Snetterton is, it has been a relatively clean start, and Robbie Stapleford is already showing his calm and patient nature, which we have spoke about all season long, which is why I personally believe he's going to win tonight. He's a very calm, collected driver. He doesn't take these risks. He lets the race come to him. When the move opens up, he will take it.
Well, one person in the race is definitely not coming to is Regan Mitchell. Now, we saw a tiny little bit of that just as we saw. Oh, and that's a car backwards facing into oncoming traffic. Dan Lenson has to avoid an action. And Ben Mullard from Alpha Simsport facing the wrong way. Patient as you like, waits to get rejoined to the back of the field there. That's very, very intelligent driving there. But Regan Mitchell, we saw him on the exit of Murray's on the end of that first lap there, going very wide, and I fear that spun the car into oncoming traffic, and that means that Regan Mitchell are way down into 11th position, so gone from hero to zero in the space of a short time indeed. In fact, we've got another huge accident at Agostini there. At least 3-4 cars involved in that one. That is the one that he won. I think Sean Drysdale is caught up in that one. It could be Lucas Seedor possibly involved in that as well. So that is, yeah, that's not what you want. However, we've got this 3-car group breaking away now. They're at least 4 seconds ahead of everyone else right now. This is Eric Delfanti, Robbie Stapleford and Igor Ogorodnikov. Here is Matteo Petricini for the eSports Sim Racing team. He's trying to catch on to the back of Simone Iezza and Trevor Wenham. 5 minutes almost on the clock right now. And okay, we didn't get the chaos and mayhem in lap 1, but I think we're starting to see this all unfurl right now.
They had us there for a minute, didn't they? But Trevor Wenham, what a start he's had. He started, 7th, and he's up into 4th as well. And Pippo, he's up into 12th, so 2 good starts for them amongst all the chaos. So let's give them some credit where credit's due. But right now, in this battle for 4th, Petricini trying to get past Iezza, who is no slouch for driver himself, and then Trevor Wenham leading this group as Iezza teases a move in towards turn number 2 there. Can't quite find a gap through onto Trevor Wenham. He's going to have to be a bit patient now through the middle sector, try and force an error, maybe force a bit of going wide, or a bit of a mistake through 6 and 7, leading you on to the Bentley straight, where you can maybe think of a move up towards 8 and 9. And if this is going to be a replay of the start, we'll let you take this one away, Dave.
Yeah, so through the first corner there, that was a huge hit by the number 29 there. That was James Mead that got involved in that and got sent off. He is away down into pit lane, has now just exited pit lane, and obviously got whatever repairs he's needed done. There was at 1.5 cars already in pit lane. That was James Mead. You had Lucas Seedor, Sean Drysdale, Jussi Nairola and Konrad Wisłowski were all in pit lane. Let's have another look then at what happened further down the order into that first corner then. That is the number 99 car, and around the outside and rejoined there straight into another car there. That was unfortunately the 147, I believe, of Chris Vickers that got absolutely punted into daylight. In fact, no, that was Jussi Nairola in the 144. So, well, that will 100% race control will be going through in the book at that one there, because that was a horrible rejoin there. You just cannot do that. Right, here we go then. Robbie Stapleford and Eric Delfanti fight out side by side, going down into riches then for the 3rd time of asking. 3 laps that we've got going here, and have a look who's just sitting waiting patiently there in the background. Igor Ogorodnikov showing an unusual amount of restraint there, and Simone Iezza into pit lane there has jumped back to pits after an incident there, or has just gone into the pit lane to complete a pit stop. Remember, even though it's a 60-minute race, pit stops still required here, Dylan, so again a fair bit of strategy going to be needed here.
Yeah, I mean, the nature of the track, sure, it's going to eat into your tyres a bit more. We saw not many drivers actually took tyres when Bathurst in the previous 60-minute race, so I think there's going to be a bit more emphasis on tyre saving and fuel saving this race for the drivers. So every track's throwing a different sort of strategy, which we always like to see. What do you think is going to be the strategy for today?
Well, I always want to think, they're going to balance it out, but 9 times out of 10 what we see is them going in on the very last lap. So this is the 191. Yeah, that's not the best of. Oh, that's terrible. That is absolutely terrible. What I will do is I will give them the benefit of the doubt there, though, because it didn't look like they were trying deliberately to rejoin the track. It looked like the car just spun on the grass and accidentally the car rolled back on, but race controller are going to have fun with that one. Certainly has caused a bit of havoc further down here. As you can see, Yannick here, Valentik here for BMW SSRI Golf Racing. That is that is making my head hurt, because that's a livery that you would normally see on a McLaren, but it's on a BMW, and strangely, I don't hate it.
Oh, it's a Golf livery. You can't hate Golf liveries no matter what car it's on. It's a classic historic livery. As Robbie Stowford pinned to the back of Eric Delfante as they go up towards Montreal. Igor Ogonodikov, he's just sitting back. He's patient. We like seeing this. Igor Ogonodikov, if I can pronounce words properly, led the way in Bathurst here, and we didn't get to see him much of his overtaking skills. He was just leading the field and let the two behind scrap. So I think he's aware of how his win came about in Bathurst. He was able to pull that gap because of the battle for second. He's not really wanting to poke at Robbie, and maybe he's going to let Eric and Robbie fight out, and then he can find a gap. So smart work so far in the opening sort of 8 minutes here from Igor Ogonodikov, and this is reminiscent of a brain of a driver which deserves to be leading the championship right now, and could be in the he will be in the fight for the overall championship come the end of the season. So smart driving right now from Igor, waiting for his chance, and not really. He knows there's 51 minutes left on the clock. He's not going to want to risk anything right now.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, this scares me a little bit, knowing Igor, or having commentated on Igor as much as I have done. And I need to explain that comment, because the one thing is, I've been exceptionally hard on Igor Ogonodikov when he's had as many incidents, crashing people, and the frustration and the red mist coming down. And the one thing I've continually said is that if he gets that under check, if he gets that under control, he will be devastatingly fast. Like, he will be really difficult to contain. I mean, the talent that lad has got is unbelievable, and the fact that he's doing this now, he's just waiting patiently, that scares me, because he's learning to just hold his line, let these two fight out. He can pick up the pieces and absolutely romp away with this, potentially. It's also 50 minutes left to go. He doesn't need to be sticking his nose in the first 10-15 minutes. So it's brilliant to see the evolution of drivers, and yeah, really excited to see this kind of new and improved version of Igor Ogonodikov, just playing his cards, keeping his cards close to his chest, and like you say, he's keeping himself within contention, but not once has he forced the move, not once has he looked, and for me that's very unusual from Igor.
Yeah, also there's something to really think of here, as we have just a shot of the Battle 4-9-18 Starbucks, Chris Vickers and Pinchbeck. So the two SSRI boys going at it. Good to see them having a go at each other, sort of. Good respectful racing as well. They're not really risking anything too much. First order racing, don't take out your teammate. So just Chris, it's nice to see him being up there. He's not had the best couple of races. He's always been involved in some sort of incident. It's not really been his fault. He's a very talented driver. He's someone that I do like watching racing. He's a very quick driver, so it's good to see him having a somewhat clean race so far and being stuck behind your teammate. You always have that sort of protection as well, so I'm sure he's going to be enjoying the opening 10 minutes here.
Yeah, certainly is, although the chaotic neutral inside me kind of wants to say a little something between them two, just so I can see Pinch's reaction in VR. But we cut back to this lead battle then. It's still Eric Delfante ahead of Robbie Stapleford and Igor Ogonodikov, and they're going to have to get a move on now, because that closing group behind now, that gap is now 3.9 seconds. It was 5 seconds at one point. That's a good run out of the first corner there for Robbie Stapleford. Still not close enough to do anything coming into this right-hander. Aaron Walker into the pit lane then, and that is going to be a pit stop for the number 99 car. Now, he did have damage after an earlier incident, so possibly deciding to get his himself in. So he had got himself all the way up to 15th position before pitting, but that does mean now that he's going to have a clear run at the final 48 minutes of this race. So Robbie Stapleford here, again, I think that he's prodding, he's poking, he's trying to have a look, but he's not actually making a move. He's not actually trying to do anything here with Eric Delfante. And I mean, maybe a little bit of fuel saving, 48 minutes to go. I mean, I know it's not really something you need to do in any sense whatsoever, but it just feels like he's just wanting to keep the pressure on Delfante and make sure that, you know, he's the one that has to do the work here.
Yeah, well, this is typical Robbie Stapleford from what we've seen all season long. He's always trying to force Vera from the car ahead. He's not really he's gonna go for some half moves, but he's trying to really force the car ahead into the mistake. Just poking and prodding them. Very smart strategic driving there from Robbie, but at a certain point, especially when he keeps going for moves around the outside, or at least teasing moves around the outside at turn 1, it's going to be doing his tyres a bit of a number, which is probably why Orgonodikov is just sitting behind, because if those two keep going side by side and keep peering at each other, even though they're not full moves, there's still something there, which is going to be doing a bit of damage to their tyres, a bit more than Orgonodikov sitting behind. So just being the patience here, Igor Orgonodikov is just letting the race come to him here, and it's very smart driving, but Robbie Stapleford, yeah, he's definitely trying to force a mistake from Eric Delfante, but so far, Eric Delfante has been very calm and very respectful as well on track. It's nice to see those two being able to go side by side and not even have an inch of contact, so it's good to see the respect between those two on the track, that we've not had anything but we need to go, oh, no ifs or ors, or, you know, calm it down, lad. So it's good that we've got a nice battle for the lead here with them all being clean. It's all good racing, as a bit wide for Eric, and that might open up the door for a good run here. So you can see now the pressure may be getting to him a bit, as Robbie Stapleford, he does like just hammer on the pressure, and he does really force to move.
He absolutely does. The other thing about him is the age of Robbie Stapleford as well. He's only, what, I think 16, 17 years old. So again, like yourself there, Dylan, very young, and a lot of years to come to develop his talents and to develop his skills. And you know, as someone who is much older, as Chris Vickers goes wide, that's not what you want to do, and that's going to be trying to go around the outside. There goes Chris Pinchbeck. So wait, he's actually got that position. I just realised that Pinchy's lost that position then to Chris Vickers, but for how long though? Because they're behind the McLaren right now, the number 27. And again, it just feels like this is no quarter given between any of these three cars right now here, Dylan.
Yeah, all sort of hammer and tong going at it as they go through 8 and 9. Very tricky section as Pinchbeck closes right onto the back there, as that is the number 27 going very wide, and he will lose 2 places there. And the SSR rivals will say thank you very much, and will take that very thankfully.
He certainly does, and you can see Igor Orgonodikov dropping back a little bit as another tiny feint of a look there from Robbie Stapleford. 15 minutes into the book here on round 3 of the Cammus Community Cup here on Simsport Racing International. Brilliant race that we've got so far. Eric Delfante leading from Robbie Stapleford, Igor Orgonodikov in 3rd position, Trevor Wenham in 4th, Matteos Petrocchini in 5th position, Adrian Antamarchi in 6th, it's Brophy in 7th, Onikolo in 8th. You've got Jacquard in 9th and Regan Mitchell down in 10th after starting in 4th position. I tell you what, that is not what the number 29 is going to have wanted. That is going to be a 10-second penalty for Mead in that number 29. So James Mead getting a penalty. Presumably that is for that lap 1 incident where he caused that collision there. And, well, 10-second penalty, you can't really argue with that.
No, I mean, it's good that the stewards are on it today. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of action, and a lot of the people in chat will be pleased that we've got live penalties. I know we all are, that we've got the broadcasting system, and there is a penalty for causing a collision with the 199, that is Zidor. So, yeah, it's good that we've got these live penalties back. It's good that the stewards are on it, and hopefully it will tone the drivers down a bit from last week.
Yeah, for sure. So Robbie Stapleford still onto the back end of a race leader. Car 83, 10-second penalty for causing a collision with car 7, and that is going to be Michael Goff there down in 20th position at the moment. And the 7 car, that's Konrad Vezlovsky, who was running at the back of the grid here. But Robbie Stapleford still glued on to the tail end of that Audi right now. And Yeah, this is, if you're Robbie Stapleford or Eric Delfanti or even Igor Ogorodnikov, I think you've got the biggest smile on your face right now, because you know you're tearing away from the rest of the group, but you're also having a hell of a time fighting with each other.
Yeah, one thing I have noticed about this though is, as we've seen Robbie Stapleford not really teasing moves as much, I think he's realised that Igor Ogorodnikov is struggling to keep up with him, and I think in the first 10 minutes he was closing up every time that Stapleford was peaking a move on Delfante, and now I think Robbie Stapleford's realised that if he just sits behind Eric Delfante, it will allow those two to just pull ahead, as we saw in qualifying, but these two are a lot closer and better match for pace than Ogorodnikov, and if they just are a bit patient for the next 10 minutes, they will probably pull a gap to Ogorodnikov, and then they can go at it and have that gap and not have to worry about Ogorodnikov getting involved in them once those two start really going at it. So I think Stapleford's noticed that Ogorodnikov isn't necessarily on the same sort of pace level as them. They're just sitting back and allowing the gap to form here.
Yeah, and that is what we are watching unfold at this very moment. Igor Ogorodnikov just sitting back there. Trevor Wenham, though, with a 10-second penalty as well. Then the number 3, we'll get details of that in just a second. But yeah, a 10-second penalty there for Trevor Wenham. Oh, and that's a huge wobble there for Igor Ogorodnikov. Just too much speed coming through the bomb hole there, almost getting himself unstuck. But he is now deciding to push and to charge. 10-second penalty then for car 3 for causing a collision with the 22. That's for Regan Mitchell. So that's what's happened then. It's been that final corner. Regan Mitchell's been hit by Trevor Wenham, and that is what has cost Regan Mitchell all that time, as almost side by side into turn 1 goes Robbie Stapleford with Eric Delfanti. But here comes Igor Ogorodnikov, looks one way, then the other. He's tired of waiting. He's decided this is his time. He's going to try and go round the outside. Surely not. That was never going to work there. Fair play for trying round the outside of Montreal. Gets the comeback though. It's going to be onto the inside for Palmer. Igor Ogorodnikov still in there. This is incredible racing, and he's going to have him, because he's going to have the inside line down into Agostini. Does Robbie Stapleford have anything left into the bag? Surely not. Igor Ogorodnikov cuts off the corner, and Robbie Stapleford has nothing to answer with. That is going to be a huge move, and out of what seemed to be absolutely nowhere.
That all started from a poor exit from Eric Delfante, and then coming across with King Con the main straight, he dipped the wheel onto the grass, but that cut a bit of his momentum and speed, and that then opened up the door for Robbie Stapleford to peak a move, but then when the move wasn't on, then opened the door for Igor Ogorodnikov. So a mistake from Eric Delfante actually ruined to be a massive win for him, and he's pulled a bit of a gap now to the two behind battling.
Well, that is huge news. We were saying how cool, calm and collected Igor Ogorodnikov was in that 3rd place, but I'm telling you right now, all bets are off. He's got a sniff of taking the lead very early on, and he absolutely is going to try and take it. Regan Mitchell here for Rocket Simsport onto the back of One Co in that 8th place at McLaren right now. The Honda trying to recover after that earlier incident with Trevor Wenham. Trevor obviously getting a penalty as a result of it, but you've then got the heck of a long climb back up that leaderboard there. You've got Brophy, Adrian Antomarchi, Matteo Petricini. You know, Regan's really going to have to pull the work out to actually recover this drive here.
Well, so far he's done a brilliant job closing up into the field and starting making some moves up the field as we go back to the leaders. But yeah, Regan Mitchell, despite the accident, he is closing in, and I think he has that determination to make his way back up. I mean, we saw it with Darren McCormack last week. Once you get involved in a little hit, you sort of have that red mist that comes across that allows you to push your drive with a bit more anger and a bit more fire, wanting to know, and you know that you have that pace to be up there. So I think that's going to allow him to sort of move his way up the field today.
For sure. So just watching as Igor Ogorodnikov waiting very patiently. The gap up to 4th position from this top 3 up to 4.2 seconds. So it's only gone up by 0.3 of a second just now. They could very well close it in, but I think the pace that these top 3 have got right now, I can't see that happening. However, that might all change here as Igor Ogorodnikov tries to get onto the back of Eric Delfanti. This is on board with the Red Line Zach Racing driver of Adrian Antomarchi. And I had no idea on this Friday night we were going to get a ticket to the gun show, Dylan. But Adrian is obviously having to get a bit of a workout there on that direct drive wheel.
Oh, forget his arms. That has a cracking beard as well, but he's got brilliant as Petrocini ahead of him runs a bit wide on the exit of Nelson. Now following through the final sector. 5-second penalty for car 31, so he allowed the driver to retain position, so that will explain why he only got 5 seconds instead of 10. So that's good sportsmanship there from Dan Lenzen down in 22nd position.
Here we go then, 38 minutes left to go in the race, rapidly approaching halfway, and I don't understand it because as a commentator, oh that's very wide, we'll come back to that point in a minute. Yegor Ogorodnikov is on the verge of losing second place again up the inside after a mistake from Yegor Ogorodnikov. Now what I was away to say there is the fact that that 41 was looking very, very ragged. Remember how he was right onto the back of Eric Delfante, then he's obviously lost a little bit of time and Robbie Stapleford managed to get a sniff of that again, and then it's a mistake, an error from Yegor Ogorodnikov that now puts him back down into that third position. Do you remember when I was saying that Yegor Ogorodnikov was cool, calm, collected? Do you remember a lap ago when I was saying all bets are off? Well, it's now just going to be absolute warfare right now. I've seen that sort of move be pulled on Yegor Ogorodnikov before. Absolutely above board, absolutely fair, but Yegor does not take that sitting down very well at all. James Mead there having a fight and saw at the wheel here, trying to hold on to that position here. It's not going to happen though, up the inside into Montreal there, and that around the outside was trying to go Valenduc there. So Mead has got that 17th position there, a decent little overtake.
Clean racing as well, brilliant from a pair of them leaving the space, and now Ogorodnikov falling off the back of the top two here, Delfante and Stapleford. So yeah, maybe you was right. I was actually starting to think that Ogorodnikov was closing up onto Delfante, maybe because the tyres from and Rob Stapleford was falling off the back because of those two little niggles, those two niggling at each front burn up their tyres a bit more than Ogonodikov's. But now we're seeing Ogorodnikov is really struggling to keep up onto the back of them. So maybe we don't know it. Every time we make a point, they change it, and then Stapleford peaks and move into turn one once again. Maybe that will allow
down though, as that is Chris Vickers onto the back of the number 4 Audi of Richardson, and Richardson doing a fairly decent job, although kind of under the radar right now is Andrew Richardson in no man's land, you know, down there outside the top 10. And the problem is that for these drivers, they're still absolutely fighting as if their life depended on it, and they don't get a lot of attention, but they sure as hell have just as much fun.
Well, you don't want to be sitting. Yeah, you may not be getting any points, or it's just for minor positions. But just because of that, who's going to sit behind another car? They're here to race. They're here to have a bit of fun, and the side-by-side, wheel-to-wheel, door-to-door, banging action is what's going to make them smile. And even if they have an accident, they're still going to have fun doing it. So even if it's for last place, they're still going to go like it's for the race win.
Ladies and gentlemen, ding ding, round 3, Delfante, Stapleford and Ogorodnikov. It's a three-way battle royale right now for the lead of this race. One man very much smiling is Eric Delfante, thinking that he must be invincible right now, because the two of them behind him, as much as they've been pressuring, they have not been able to do a single thing about trying to take that lead off him right now. Robbie Stapleford possibly in the best form that he's been in so far this race, right onto the back end, and this could be crucial. They're also going to be onto the back end of a lapped car as well, as Regan Mitchell still onto the tail end of Oniko, still furiously trying to get that 8th position there, and that's going to be a move up the inside there. That looked like that was a mistake for Eric Delfante, but somehow Houdini has got out of that one again and keeps on to his first position, and now right back onto it. Here comes big bad Yegor Ogorodnikov.
Well, despite having a bit of a mistake, I'm sure Eric Delfante is still going to be smiling. He's gone. Is it coming back? Well, he's enjoying it as the back marker kindly gets out way as they go down the Bentley straight up towards turn 8 and 9. Robert Stapleford up into back less than a 10th now. Is he going to peak a move here? No, thinks Berovic backs out very early, so there was a massive lift off before we even reached the bridge there. And Ogorodnikov having a bit of a moment there as his tail starting to wag. He's definitely enjoying this there, like a little puppy tail wagging there at the rear, but I'm sure he doesn't want that in the car as they come through the final sector, keeping it as pinned as they can. Little lift off as they just winds up through turn 11 as they go through turn 12 at Maurice, as closing right onto the back there. Robbie Stapleford Good exit over by Del Fante as we go down from main straight up in the slipstream by Robert Stilford. Is he now thinking this is the time to plant Eric Del Fante? He knows he's under pressure. He's starting to see these mistakes. Is he going to be close enough? He peaks and moves, but he's not going to be close enough to get even side by side there. It's Stilford, and just going to have to wait for another time round to sort of force the error.
Yeah, it's a weird one because he's putting his head out, and that lift and the braking momentum, I think, is allowing Ogorodnikov to stay in touch with that as Regan Mitchell jumps into pit lane, then wants to do the undercut and try and see how many places that he can get off of this one. And this is a fascinating battle. Obviously, we've got 28 other cars fighting it out right now, but these three are just ridiculous in terms of the action. You get the feeling, Dylan, don't you, that when something happens, it's going to be very, very dramatic indeed. It's not just going to be a case of, oh well, there's our new leader. It's going to be a case of, oh my god, someone's into the wall.
No, I don't think so. I think from what we've seen so far, the top three have definitely got that level of respect. Yes, it's close racing. Yes, you may see a little door bang, but I think they have that sort of respect for each other, especially with Del Fante and Stokeford, what we've seen so far when they've been itching at moves into turn one. They have that respect for each other, and even though you say Ogorodnikov's got this sort of reputation, I think they do have that level of respect, to have that clean racing, to leave that space and know where the limit is on the line. And with 3 rounds into it now, I think they're sort of warming up to each other here. They all race in over championships together as well. I'm sure they know where the line is now. They're starting to find it, and I don't think we're going to have sort of a massive someone into wall. Yes, I do believe there'll be sort of fireworks. I think it's going to be a brilliant move, sort of like someone going around the outside of turn 11 sort of thing. So the move will be a brilliant one, sort of fireworks, but I don't think it's going to be a negative sort of, you know, wow moment.
Such optimism there from Dylan Pick. We'll certainly see how that one all pans out. Simone Etzi just caught there getting past Chris Pinchbeck. Another little feint of a move there from Robbie Stapleford right now. Again, we're rapidly coming up to the halfway point here. That BMW looks mighty close to the Audi. Is it going to be a dive up the inside? No, the BMW just still very content right now for BMW G2 Esports onto the back of the Italian job of Eric Del Fante right now. So as we said, race 3, round 3 out of 5 here for this Cammus Community Cup here, and again some huge points here for Eric Del Fante, but more importantly for your joint championship leader Robbie Stapleford, who by my reckoning, if this was to end as it was here, Dylan, would take the lead of the championship with just 2 rounds left to go.
Yes, definitely. Well, he's ahead of Ogorodnikov on the target point, so it's pretty simple for Ogorodnikov. Well, maybe I was a bit wrong.
Actually, I'm not going to shout at Ogorodnikov for that, because I did catch out the corner of my eye. Robbie Stapleford actually made an error there. He went across the grass, rejoined, and I think Ogorodnikov just was obviously had the pace and thought, yeah, I'm just going to have a bit of this. So I think he was entitled to stick his nose in there. I think maybe Stapleford is pushing a little bit too hard now. This is what we'll have to see right now, because Ogorodnikov needs to get a move on if he's going to try and get onto this lead here. But you see Ogorodnikov as well going very wide out of Brundle there, and losing a tiny little bit of time here. So again, it's all going to be on these pit stops, I think. I don't see them coming in the next sort of 10-15 minutes for these drivers, as we cut back to another replay. So this is what happened then with Robbie Stapleford. So you saw he tried to take the outside line, he made his move, and Ogorodnikov went to go and take that position there. And I think, you know, Robbie tried to close the door, but it was way too late. So for me, that was just a bit of a racing incident with the two of them.
Yeah, I don't think there was not much either of them could have done. It was optimistic by Ogorodnikov. The door was open, but I think he really caught Stapleford off guard there, because it was late. It was on the cards, so we had every right to go for that. But yeah, I think Stapleford was caught a bit napping there, and definitely had it. But at this point, if I'm Stapleford or Ogorodnikov, I'm going into the pit lane. I mean, you've been fighting, been non-stop sort of battling each other. Your tyres are going to be feeling it now. And Eric Del Fante, no one's really had a look at him properly. He's not really had a full side-by-side moment. So his tyres are probably the best out of everyone's in the top 3. He's currently cruising. He's as calm as you'd like. So especially if I'm Ogonodikov, when he's been showing that he's not necessarily had the pace, he's been struggling to keep on to the back of Stableford. I'm getting into pits, I'm pulling an undercut, and I'm definitely trying to spice things up here. But right now, Eric Delfante, he's loving life. He's going to happily let them two go out. It is very reminiscent of Bathurst round 1, where Ogonodikov was just happy to lead. No one was really pressuring him, even when Stableford and Bykov were right on the back of him. Bykov and Stableford was the ones fighting, and then once they won second place and third place started battling, then Ogonodikov sort of went away, and it's very reminiscent, sort of deja vu of that Bathurst round, but with different names.
Well, that's exactly it, and we often see these kind of performances repeating himself as we see Simone Etza for Racing Point there, and I'm watching that wheelbase. Right, is that me? So either he's got one of those fancy motion rigs that moves all over the place, or is that steering wheel moving all over the place, Dylan? Watch his webcam for a minute when he goes into the wheel. It doesn't. It's moving up and down and left and right, and I'm a little bit confused.
Yeah, it definitely looks like there's a pin loose or something. It's very weird. It looks like someone just recording it in a cinema, because he's obviously got the camera on one of his shelves, so it looks like we're looking at it from like it's in the big cinema screen.
It's one of those dodgy spy films that you order off of one of those East Asian websites.
Oh, I don't know, but yeah, that wheel doesn't look, that doesn't look stable. I mean, he's probably had that like that for ages, so it's probably fine. It's probably just how he has it, but it doesn't look very stable. I'm waiting for it to fall, and I hope it doesn't. But if that's normal for him, then it shouldn't fall. It should be fine. But let's hope it doesn't, fall off. That would be catastrophic, especially when you're going side by side with someone. That's your race ruined from a real life sort of, failure. I mean, it's sim racing, but it's kind of cliche having that sort of quote-unquote mechanical error as your wheel falls off.
Yeah, and it's having experienced that myself, it is not fun. It's very, very frustrating as well. I think it's actually, it must be one of those motion rigs, because the way that the kind of wheelbase itself is moving up and down and left and right, but he doesn't look like he's forced it back in. Listen, back in my day when I was a lad, steering wheels we had wheels that you didn't actually bolt onto anything. They would just sit in your lap, and you had to try and they were absolutely horrific. Yeah, I'm so glad we kind of went on to mounted wheels. But yeah, having a mount fall off midway through the race is the most frustrating thing ever, because you become so stubborn. Rather than quit the race, you're just like, right, it's fine, I'll make it work, and you start having to pull all these weird angles, and yeah, it's not fun. Anyway, back to the race then. We've blitzed past that halfway point, and 25 minutes left to go here. Ben Muller down in 16th position. You saw him getting turned round to the back of the grid, and quite honestly, I mean, that is a remarkable comeback for Ben Muller for Alpha Simsport.
Yeah, and he's made pit stops as well, so Richardson and Pinchbeck he's going to be gaining a few more positions as well. So Ben Mullard, we said we haven't really seen him at all season. Well, he's getting some good camera time here, and it's thoroughly deserves as Antamachi, the current race fastest lap holder, is into the pit lane as well. So we'll see. This gives us a relative idea as well, where everyone else sort of from 8th downwards that haven't pitted yet is very wide there from Alan. So this will give an idea where Ben Mullard can sort of make his comeback, as that is a roundabout sort of delta area where the people haven't pitted there, just outside the top 10. So it's a good idea to see how many positions he can gain, and puts things into perspective how much of a comeback he can actually make, as Antamachi just about comes out ahead of him in this little battle. So now things are going to get very spicy as Mullard tries to find a move on Valenduc. Valenduc holds it round for the outside very nicely. Good defending there, but I think Mullard's just got a wheel ahead a bit, just got his bumper ahead of the inside line for Valenduc through the next few corners. He should be able to hold on to the move quite nicely there.
Yeah, great stuff to see that. Is it going to be a look up the inside? I think it's going to be very optimistic. Yeah, that's not happening. So Ben Mullard can't quite make that happen on the 301 there of Yannick Valenduc. But back to the race leaders then. And yet again, it's Robbie Stapleford on to the back of Eric Delfante. However, this time, they've absolutely dropped Igor Ogorodnikov. 1.5 seconds on the best part of it. He away from this little group here. So the Audi of Eric Delfante, I mean, Dylan, he must be absolutely rubbing his hands together with glee, because while it's looked pretty ominous for him, having both Robbie Stapleford and Igor Ogorodnikov, looming large on his back bumper, the pair of them have literally been fighting and tripping each other up.
Yeah, well, Ogonodikov's now falling off the back there, so Eric Delfante can't get his hopes up too soon. I'm sure he won't. He seemed like a smart guy. He's not going to jump the gun too soon. There's 23 minutes left, and especially a guy I wouldn't want behind me is Robbie Stapleford, especially when there's now clean air behind Robbie Stapleford. I mean, Ogonodikov slowly coming back into things here, but he's backed off a bit. 1.5 seconds is the gap to Robbie Stapleford. Robbie Stapleford, he's going to pick his moment. He's going to niggle Eric Delfante. He's going to sort of irritate him and try and force the error. So I wouldn't get too comfy if I'm Delfante, because Robbie Stapleford will wait this entire 23 minutes left to make his move, and then he'll probably make the mistake, such as the nature of the racing that Stapleford has.
It's fantastic to see this angle go on board with the BMW G2 esports driver then of Robbie Stapleford coming through the bomb hole, then down on the run down to Coram to finish off yet another lap. 20 laps that we've got almost in the books here at Snetterton on this 300 course layout. And Dylan, I mean, what's your thoughts on the races so far? Have you been entertained?
This race or the whole season?
Yes, both this race and the whole season.
Every race so far has been brilliant. It's got better every race. I mean, Bathurst was brilliant, then we got better at Watkins Glen. It wasn't necessarily the cleanest, but the racing was still brilliant nonetheless. I said it before the stream started, I don't like Snetterton. I really don't think it's a British circuit. It looks more downplacing sort of the Australian, New Zealand sort of V8 supercars scene down there. I really don't like the circuit, I don't like watching it, I don't like driving it, but it's growing on me here, because these guys are just that good at racing and putting on a show. It's growing on me. I'm loving, especially tonight. This race has been brilliant. We've had non-stop. We've not been able to look down the order really at what else has been going on, because the battle for the lead has just been that intense and that consistently going on. We've not really been a break, so I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it.
What is going on with these two? That's Igor Ogorodnikov back in again with the chance of getting this position as well. That gap was 1.5 seconds, now down to 0.7 of a second. Delfante is holding up Stapleford, and Stapleford, all he can do is just grin and bear it just now. Cut further back down though to Ben Mullard in the 77 Alpha Simsport machine just now, chasing down. That is Chris Pinchbeck that is just up in front of him just now, as Regan Mitchell is a little bit further. In fact, sorry, that's Valenduc, excuse me, that's just up in front of him just now in 15th position in 301. You're going to have to watch out because you've got Michael Goff just behind, but again, that 10-second penalty, that will come into play here. 20 minutes left to go in the race, and there's so many battles still, all bubbling away quite nicely through the rest of this field, through Murray's for the next time. Then 28.5 minutes left to go. Robbie Stapleford, I just don't know, he keeps looking, but he's not seriously looked to make any move here. I do wonder if he's just waiting until, like, say 10 minutes to go before he actually makes his move, by which point is it going to be too late, because Igor Ogorodnikov, he's only going to take 2 or 3 opportunities to get given that chance to get past, and he'll be like, no, I'm just taking this. And I think Igor is in a prime position right now again.
Here's what I think sort of going on. I mean, it's just dawned on me the last time. I think Stapleford, we saw this in Bathurst, I think Stapleford's fuel saving. We saw him lifting off in towards Brondel of about 10 minutes ago, sort of when the move could have been on. I think Stapleford, he's just sitting behind fuel saving, and Ogonodikov, when Delfante starts bridging a gap and Stapleford and Ogonodikov are sort of a second and a half apart there, Ogonodikov's having to put his foot down and burn a bit more fuel, burn his tyres a bit to get onto the back of Stapleford again, whilst Stapleford is just happy to save a bit of fuel, staying on the back of Delfante. And because there's no car ahead of Delfante, we can't really see what he's doing when it comes to fuel saving. But I definitely think Robbie Stapleford, we saw this in Bathurst, I think he's going to be doing a bit of fuel saving, and in the pit lane we're going to see him maybe he's going to jump Delfante. That's what I think is going to happen, because Ogonodikov is clearly having to push to stay on the back here, and Stapleford clearly has the pace to get past Delfante, and he's just not, and maybe that's also allowing Ogonodikov to sort of close in, because Stapleford's not really at 100% right now, because he is just sitting back, fuel saving and being patient, like we said. The race will be won by the driver that lets the race come to them. It's going to be about patience, and Robbie Stapleford is probably the most patient driver on the grid. We've seen it. He doesn't get phased. He's so calm and collected. He's just so patient, and when the move is on, he will then go for it. He's tucked right onto the back of Del Fante down the main straight. Is he going to go through? If you see he's gaining. Does he peer out? He does. He peers to the right side and back into the slipstream of Del Fante straight away into turn 1. And I think, yeah, Stableford has the pace to go past him. He's just choosing not to. I think he's being patient as we eyes up a move in towards Montreal. Again, that's the sort of thing against Ogonodikov that he went for and got the move done. I think he's just waiting and he's being patient here.
Now here's an interesting fact on the whole thought about fuel saving. I don't know about I don't know if he'd need to, because I don't think he'd gain all that much by saving, you know, a little bit of fuel, especially when you're stuck behind another car like this. And then if we look at the pace of these top three, the top three doing 148, 148.1, 148.2, covering the top three. Everybody else, apart from the 85 in 5th place there of Matteo Petrocchini, everyone else is at least half a second a lap slower than these three right now. I'm not sure if it's fuel saving or if it's just a case of there's no reason to push so early. He knows that there's still 17 minutes to go. He knows he's got Igor Ogorodnikov behind him, and he knows that Del Fante is likely going to fight hard to try and hold on to this position. So if you're going to make a move, you don't want to have anybody else able to make a gain from that. And Igor Ogorodnikov, that's going to be the first driver tonight that I've seen falling victim on that curb on the right hand side there.
Well, you've got a keen eye, because I didn't see anything. I sort of just upped the tempo a bit on your tone of voice. I was like, what's just gone on there? Because I was waiting to see like a snap of oversteering for sort of rear step out for Ogonodikov. That's a good spot from you there, Dave, I must say.
I'm just looking for it to try and make my own mistakes look a little bit more normal. That's all it is right there. Back with Ben Mullard here onto the back then. And did a fantastic job then on that recovery drive there. Yannick Valendik under increasing pressure in that Golf liveried number 43 machine, number 301. Looking at completely the wrong car there. I keep looking at Chris Pinchback's car number as well, because I'm having a senior moment and getting mistaken with the fastest lap marker of. That can't be right. Surely not. Is that Adrian Antomarchi has set the fastest lap in the BMW down in 14th position? What an absolute job.
He was running in the top 5 though before he pitted, so he's up there. He has the pace. I think he was running net 6th before he pitted, I believe. He's behind Petrocchini on track.
Yeah, Simonietta then has done the jump on that case, if that is so. 15 minutes left to go though, and you can see Simonietta in the Racing Point 858 machine just ahead of the number 4 Audi. In fact, no, that is going to be one of the lapped BMWs, isn't it? That is just behind them there. So the Racing Point machine doing fairly well, and again, that timing board confuses me massively, because that was actually Ant Brown that's behind there. That is probably one of the most garish liveries I think we've got on the grid here so far there, Dylan. That's it's quite a bright one.
Yeah, it is, but just a thought. We saw he pitted 6 minutes in? It was in the 50s. It was a very early pit stop, wasn't it?
It certainly was. You see Chris Vickers up the inside there, and that's a McLaren, so that possibly one of the cars getting lapped there. Yeah, it was very early on. I think it was as a result of damage, and obviously that's worked out massively well, because everybody else has been struggling, and Simone has just been able to work their way up the field.
It might be damage, we don't know, but it could also be, from what I've seen of yet. So he's a very smart driver. He's very out there when it comes to strat. Oh, that's not what we want to be seeing. That's Andrew Richardson sideways. But as we were saying, Yates is a smart driver. So do you think he took that initiative to pit early and then he just had clean air on track, whilst everyone else was sort of fighting, because he was in that battle with Trevor Wenham, Petrocchini, and if I look down I can find his name, Antomarchi. So do you think he just took the initiative to pit early, get the pit stop out of the way, and just have that clean air where we can go flat out for 50 minutes? And maybe you think that's where he's jumped Antomarchi, because he's been squabbling for positions with Petrocchini and Trevor Wenham, that he gets his clean air, had just allowed him to put fast lap in after fast lap and not have to worry about cars around him fighting. Do you think that was maybe a smart strategy choice there by Simone Etzer?
Potentially, but then again, it comes down to whether or not it was planned. And you know, if you were going to plan that, then you'd only want to put in maybe say 5 laps or 10 laps of fuel into the car before you actually go on to the race here. Pinchy going way too hot into Nelson, and well, yeah, that's horrible to say. Somebody go and get a doctor, because Andrew Richardson has just been absolutely murdered going into Brundle there.
Yeah, I mean, you saw it coming from a mile away. You saw Pinchbeck missing the apex, and just going, no. You saw it happening from a mile away. It's unfortunate, but it's going to happen at some point through Brundle and Nelson. The nature of the corner. It's a sort of almost Imola-like chicane, where fast fling in at 8 and then heavy brake in mid-corner into 9. It's going to happen at some point. It's the nature of it. We don't want to see it happen, but it's going to happen. But thankfully, we've only seen it once, really, so the stewards are going to be onto that, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. We've spoken a lot about Robbie Stapleford and Igor Ogorodnikov. I think we have to officially open the Eric Delfanti fan club here tonight, because this has been a masterclass in defensive management. I wouldn't even call it defensive driving, because he's not had to drive defensively. He's not had to block apexes. He's just sat down, done his own race, kept himself to himself while everybody else causes problems for themselves here. And it has been a wonderful, wonderful performance so far for Eric Delfanti, and an important performance as well when it comes to the championship and the season here, because Robbie Stapleford, as we said, joint top of that championship so far. Again, not able to get anywhere near close enough here. But again, these final pit stops are going to be so crucial. We're now whittling our way down to about 10 cars left that still need to pit there. Up to 8th position, up to Aidan Walsingham in at 8th position. Then you've got Richardson and Pinchbeck, as well as Brown, still needing to pit. So who is going to blink first out of these top 3? I get the impression that and that was a little bit of a fake there. Robbie Stapleford goes into the pit lane. Igor Ogorodnikov thinks about it and then decides, nope, I'm going to stay out here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit confused. Why did Ogorodnikov, as a car behind, try and dummy it? Maybe he was trying to force Stapleford out of the pit lane there. Maybe anything you do, I do the opposite. So maybe Stapleford would go, oh, Ogorodnikov's pitting, so I won't. Who knows? But yeah, Eric Delfanti, it's more of a masterclass in not caring. It's like, he's not been phased at all. Stapleford's been poking at him for good 40 minutes, 50 minutes. The whole race, he's just been niggling at him bit by bit, trying to find a move. Not find a move, but force a mistake. And Eric Delfanti's just not cared. He's not been budged. Like, he's just not been phased. Look at him. You see he's smiling. He doesn't really care. He's not been bothered. And, you know, I would certainly be bothered if Robbie Stapleford was poking at me for 50 minutes, because eventually you're going to force a mistake, but he's not really been moved at all. So he's been clear. He's been driving like no one's been behind him at all. So yeah, it has been a bit of a masterclass from Eric Delfanti for 50 minutes. Even if he doesn't win, credit for the patience he's had and just not really being phased. He knows that Stapleford's not actually going for him, but he's just dummying it, and he's just been smart to not sort of budge to it, as there's a penalty for car number 43 for causing a collision. That is Chris Pinchbeck. Oh,
Pinchy has got a 5-second penalty, and well, that could have been a lot worse. Could have been a 10-second penalty, but it wasn't, as we're still watching Eric Delfanti. It's one thing to have Robbie Stapleford giving you all the pressure, but having Igor Ogorodnikov is a different kettle of fish altogether. Going back to that pit stop, or the feint into the last time there, I don't think it was a dummy. I think it was a genuine decision or a change of mind from Igor Ogorodnikov following Robbie Stapleford in, and then decided, actually, I'm going to stay out here. Or he was just so concentrated on following Robbie Stapleford's line that it just a split second before realising actually he's away to the pits. That's very deep into Montreal for both of these drivers here. You can see Igor Ogorodnikov on the voice chat with his team there, working out the best strategy here. As you see picture in picture, there is Robbie Stapleford out of the pits then for BMW G2 Esports. We've got 9 minutes left to go in round 3 of this Cammus Community Cup here. Robbie Stapleford out in 5th position. We're still keeping an eye on your front 2 in that picture. A huge thank you as always to Steve Proudly behind the scenes for the awesome pictures tonight here. But now we're getting down to crunch time. 8 3/4 minutes left to go here, Dylan. Eric Delphante still holding on, but not in the desperate way that you would think with the pressure being applied to by Igor Ogorodnikov. As you said, he's Mr. Cool, Calm and Collected tonight.
Yeah, I mean, from what we just saw from his prior lap that we've just been following him on, both been making a lot of mistakes and going a bit deep. I'm starting to think that Delphante and Ogorodnikov's tyres are going off here, and Stapleford's maybe pitted at just the right time. And even if Ogorodnikov doesn't make a mistake, when Eric Delphante goes a bit deep and sort of blocks you into the corner, that's slowing you down as well. And this is all going to play into the hands of Robbie Stapleford, who I'm sure is probably just going to put some fresh tyres on as well. And now he's going to have brand new tyres, clean air, and he's surely going to jump from the pit stops if Delphante keeps making mistakes and holding the pair up. And yeah, there we go, Delphante into the pits. I think his tyres were definitely done for that lap. And now Ogorodnikov is our 3rd race leader of the night then, and this is going to be brilliant to see where Stapleford will actually come out. I mean, he was right on the back of them, and I'm sure not only with the undercut and then the mistakes that Delphante was making, surely Stapleford must jump him there.
Well, we'll wait and see, because I mean, the last lap there for Eric Delphante was a 1:48.5, which was about 0.3 of a second off of that. It looks like that is going to be him coming out of pit lane very shortly, and he's done him. Delphante still has that position, but they come out side by side, and that means that Robbie Stapleford is going to take that position away from Eric Delphante. So you were absolutely spot on. That error with the fight, hold on to that position from Igor Ogorodnikov there has cost him dearly. Robbie Stapleford doing the whole shot jump there, getting that position from Eric Delphante, and now that he has got ahead here, I think we're away to see this move very quickly indeed. So all eyes now are going to be on Igor Ogorodnikov, who you would fear or think is going to be in this time round, and that looks like what, half a second to a second, 0.7 of a second between Stapleford and Delphante there. So let's have a look here. This was them coming out of the pit lane, and again, Dylan, just shows you how close that actually was there.
Yeah, and also you have to bear in mind, Robbie Stapleford's had an extra lap on those tyres. He's got the heat into them, they're switched on. So even if Delphante would press it in forward a bit more around the outside, Stapleford had that every day of the week. Tyres warmed up to temperature, he was always having that. Brilliant strategy call there by Robbie Stapleford. And now let's just wait for Ogorodnikov and see. Now he's got some cleaner. Does he still have the pace? Does he still have the tyres going? We shall see very soon, as he's not pitted again. He's gone past pit lane. So Ogorodnikov is leaving it down to the very last second here, which I wouldn't recommend, because his tyre's going to be absolutely spent now, and Stapleford's, this is going to be a major undercut. I don't think that Ogorodnikov's going to be anywhere near these two now. I think he's going to struggle and fall off the back of him here.
Well, you could be right on that one. Robbie Stapleford doing a 1:48.0 and Ogorodnikov that last lap round 1:48.4, so losing time on the roundabout there. But actually a great point brought up there from Cameron Fife in YouTube chat there, just to take a second on Regan Mitchell. A huge congratulations to Regan, actually graduating today with a Masters in Computer Science. So yeah, I never went to uni, and Regan destined for some very big things.
We get congratulations when I get my results back from my GCSEs. I mean, I know.
Yes, mate. Yes, we will praise you as long as some good results.
It's nothing compared to a Masters in computer science. Just graduating uni full stop with a Masters. So yeah, well done, Regan. You've not had the best of races. You've had a brilliant comeback so far, though. You're up into 10th now. So yeah, who cares how your race has gone? You've got a Masters in uni. Congratulations, mate. Well done to you.
Happy days. 4.5 minutes left to go in the race here, and just still watching Robbie Stapleford then, and my eyes are absolutely glued to my timing screens to see when Igor Ogorodnikov, it's going to have to be this lap, you would think, to get in. However, here's the point. you know, and if I'm right in thinking, as soon as he crosses the line for that pit stop, that the tick goes basically that he's completed his pit stop. So I might be completely wrong on that, but I've got a sneaking suspicion that might be the case, that as soon as you cross the pit lane line, the requirement for the pit stop has gone. So, you know, yeah, we'll wait and see on that one, but. So I've just realised they've got to take at least a litre of fuel, so they do have to make a pit stop there then. However, theoretically, I mean, surely there's nothing stopping him if his box is before the line, taking that litre of fuel and then just diving across the line, Dylan.
Don't hate the player, hate the game, because it's not the fairest of things. I must say, there's a penalty for car 426. That is Mark Brophy. Yeah, it's not the fairest of moves, but you know, if you're smart enough to do it, all credit where credit's due, you deserve that one. So, I'm not going to be too pleased if Ogonodkov wins the race by that, but it's a well-deserved win if you can think of that strategy, definitely. And maybe that's what we're seeing with Trevor Wenham and Petrocchini as well. With them not taking, especially with Trevor Wenham having that penalty, so maybe we're seeing that from them, who knows. It's a bit sly, but you know what, yeah, if you can do it, why not?
Yeah, absolutely, and of course that 10-second penalty is going to put them outside of the top three. They're going to want to pit anyway, because yeah, the penalty that you get for not pitting is not even remotely worth thinking about here. As you see, Adrian Antomarchi here trying to go up the inside of Oniko. Oniko makes a mistake onto that left-hander there, leaves that BMW way too much room. However, Adrian pulls kind of back in there and thinks better of it. However, Ogonodkov is going round again, so I mean, we're going to be on our last lap before we get a pit stop from our race leader. Again, the reason I've got no idea this is something I've never tried in a Assetto Corsa Competizione. I'm way too uptight about fuel management to even risk trying anything like that. I'm usually in like, I just don't bother with it and go halfway through the races. Well, that was clumsy from the pair of them, but fair play to Adrian Antomarchi. He does eventually get that position done. And here's even more bad news for Igor Ogonodkov. He has got a gaggle of back markers that he is coming up to very quickly, and he's going to struggle to get past them, because they're lapping about 0.3 of a second slower than he is, and he's about 0.4 off of what Robbie Stapleford is doing right now.
I mean, I've just noticed. Pippo is up to 7th. He's just come out of the pit lane. He started down 17th. That is a brilliant drive there from Pippo in the number 33 car. So just give him a quick shout out there. Absolute class race from him to move his way up the order.
Yeah, it certainly is a brilliant little story there, and that's the one thing that I've liked about this championship, especially about today, is the fact that this gives a little bit of a chance to give a spotlight to some of the other drivers that we've maybe not focused on throughout the championship, and every single one of them finishing today can feel very, very happy about this performance here. Igor Ogonodkov finally decides to come into the pits here and get his pit stop done. I think you're right though, Dylan. I think Robbie Stapleford though has done everything he needs to do. He's now a 1.5 seconds ahead of Eric Del Fante, so it's going to be a battle, I think, for second place between him and Eric Del Fante here. Round the final corner comes Robbie Stapleford, and it's a very quick stop there for Igor Ogonodkov. This is going to be absolutely huge, but Robbie Stapleford has got it before it's even done. But can that Audi get it? I don't think he can. So Igor Ogonodkov is going to push like hell, and this is going to be the last lap of the race there. But a strategic masterclass there from Robbie Stapleford to take the lead off this race.
Yeah, I mean, I called it at the start. I said if anyone's going to win a race like this, it's going to be Robbie Stapleford. Eric Del Fante, he deserves the podium nonetheless. He's been absolutely brilliant today. I mean, Ogonodkov and Stapleford, we know how quick they are drivers. Del Fante's not always been their sort of Stableford's been in the fight for every race win so far. Ogonodikov's got a race win, and he's been there or thereabouts in the top 5. Delfante has been there, but he's not been sort of in the main picture, so he definitely deserves a podium. He's had a cracking race so far, so all credit to him. It's not the race win what he would have liked, but he definitely deserves a podium. He's been brilliant all season, so you can't be too disappointed with that result. And Ogonodikov, well, we saw him do it at Bathurst, take it to the very last bit where you only need to take a quick splash of fuel, and you say Stableford's had a brilliant strategy. I think Ogonodikov's probably had the slightly better one there to at least take second place from Delfante.
Yeah, no arguments on that one whatsoever, but through the final sector of the circuit, it's been a brilliant drive from all of the drivers today. Every single one of them, not just this top 3 that we've spent an inordinate amount of time unfortunately having to focus on because the excitement has just been so good. But through Murray's for the final time, then it's going to be the W for BMW G2 Esports. The German team get through. Robbie Stapleford takes the checker flag to take the win here at the Cammus Community Cup Round 3. Igor Okorodnikov in second position. Eric Delfante in third position. A very, very well-deserved third position. Matteo Petricini in fourth. Then Trevor Wenham is going to come across the line in fifth position. Simone Etta in sixth. Adrian Antamarchi in seventh. Oneko in eighth position. Regan Mitchell will finish in that ninth, potentially, because they're all in a big gaggle right now, as People is in there as well. A fantastic 10th position, as you said, for People. Then Adrian Walsingham in 11th position. Aidan Walsingham, excuse me. Ben Mullard in 12th. Yannick Valenduc in 13th. Michael Goff is going to finish in 14th position. And then you've got Brown in 15th. Brophy is going to come across the line in 16th. Jacquard in 17th position as well. In fact, I believe, is that going to be Lenson that takes that 17th? No, so it is Jacquard that takes that. So there we go. Wow, what a race. And well, Dylan, firstly, I mean, we've got to say a huge thank you to our viewers at home for watching that race. We hope they enjoyed certainly what we did, but just a breathtaking race nonetheless, and we didn't expect anything less from Snetterton.
Oh, the viewers definitely won't be disappointed with that one. I'm certainly not. I thoroughly enjoyed that, and congratulations to Robbie Stableford. I'm very proud that I predicted him winning that one. He deserves a win. He's been there and thereabouts for the first 2 rounds. So well done to him for winning, and well done to Ogonodikov and Delfante for the podium as well. Yeah,
it certainly is. So we'll give it a couple of minutes for the drivers to come in for their post-race interviews. But of course, we've got round 4 coming up next week. That is going to be another huge round in the championship as well. The thing that I'm looking forward to is the fact that obviously it's our final 90-minute race of the season, and then we go on to the 5th of August where we've got that grand final, double points, and a 150-minute race, 2.5 hours on that one. Again, I remember trying to work that out on week 1, Dylan, and I think, what was it I said? It was like an hour and a half that I thought it was, before realising that it was actually 2.5 hours. Again, that's going to be something completely different, isn't it?
You said it was 2 hours 10 minutes, but yeah, your
that's
math
right.
wasn't
Yeah, I can't even remember. Yeah,
the math there. But COTA, it's a very tricky track for GT3. It's not one I've seen much GT3 racing on. I think it's definitely going to be very argy-bargy, sort of, especially through the middle and final sectors. It's going to be a brilliant race, but I'm definitely looking forward to next week. We're at Indy road course, aren't we?
We certainly are, and again, a track that's, very much in popularity with the recent release of the American pack just a couple of weeks ago, so the drivers haven't had much time to get any practice on those 2 tracks whatsoever. It's again, you're not a fan of Snetterton. I'm not a fan of Indy. I find it very, very. However, we're going to count our blessings. At least it's not Paul Ricard. That is my only thing that I can say on that one. And then obviously over to the legendary COTA at the end of the season. However, we have to turn our attention to the big man himself, our race winner, Robbie Stapleford. Robbie, good evening, buddy. That was you were made to earn your pennies tonight, weren't you?
Yeah, definitely. I knew I had the pace, and I just missed out on pole and quali. But I think as soon as I got the clear air, I knew I was gonna just jump the Audi, and we did. So luckily, and we bought OMP1. So.
How relaxed do you think Eric Delfante would be tonight? Because, I mean, he just didn't have to really do anything because you and Igor Ogorodnikov were too busy fighting among yourselves.
If I was him, I would have still been screaming if I saw this big BMW in my mirror.
I mean, obviously, a great performance for the championship. I believe that puts you ahead of the championship with 2 rounds left to go. I mean, talk us through that the first part of the race, because the 3 of you just broke away.
Yeah, it was. We pretty much just left everyone in 4th onwards standing, and then I was trying to get the Audi, but I thought I was not going to make any mistakes because it's hard to pass around this track as it's so tight. So I thought, well, we'll just wait for the gap to come, and luckily, as soon as it came out, I got a good gap, and so I just put my foot down and beat him out the pit lane pretty much.
So obviously moving to BMW G2 Esports this year, you're in the big time now. What's the mad celebrations like this weekend? So are you off clubbing to celebrate the win?
Well, I can't drink, I'm not old enough, so probably some Coke will do me.
There's under 18 discos and everything. It's fine.
I'll join you on that one, Robbie.
I can't dance, so like that would be an issue.
Neither can anybody else that goes clubbing, sunshine. Obviously, right, two rounds left to go. Then we've got Indy and we've got COTA. Thoughts on them?
Well, at the minute I'm struggling American tracks, so anything really. I'll just hope for the best.
Excellent stuff. Well, listen, you put on an absolute masterclass tonight. Congratulations on the race win, and we look forward to speaking to you next week.
Cheers, David. Bye.
There you go then, Robbie Stapleford. Obviously not going to be cutting some squares later on. Now, I've just seen our second place man pop into the interview waiting room, so we're going to talk to him first. Big bad Igor Ogorodnikov, good evening, sir. Congratulations on second place.
Good evening, thank you. Obviously, I'm glad to that position. Sure, second place in championship, so not bad.
Obviously, very grateful to speak to you, Igor, so thank you for coming in. Got Indianapolis and COTA, Circuit of the Americas, up next. Are those tracks that you particularly like?
I scare COTA. Because even today I had 2 warnings. In COTA it's very dangerous track. They're easy to have warnings and have the tech.
Yeah, track limits are going to be your enemy on that one. Well, listen, Igor, thank you so much for coming in. Congratulations on second place, and well done on second place in the championship, my man.
Yeah, thank you.
That is, I'm actually delighted with that, because Igor's obviously English is a second language for him, and before he was very shy to come in and chat, so fantastic to get his thoughts there. From one bad man to another, Eric Delfante, who just looked cool, calm and collected all through the evening there in that first place there before unfortunately being pipped on strategy. Eric, talk us through that race.
Hey guys, yes, the race was very difficult because the Invo guys are too quick for me. The BMW is better with the tire management, and it was impossible in the end to hold up and win the race.
And yet, for 50 minutes of that race, that's exactly what you did. You kept them at bay, and quite honestly, both myself and Dylan were contemplating the fact that you were well within your rights to take that race win there. But it was just those final couple laps before the pit stop that seemed to be your undoing on the pace.
Yes, I think I do the best. I do the best. Better place, the better result I can do, because these guys with the hot track are too fast, and obviously the BMW.
Yeah, and listen, obviously third place is a fantastic achievement, especially when you're up against not only the BMWs, but against the likes of Robbie Stapleford and Igor Ogorodnikov. Well, listen, Eric, congratulations on third place in the race tonight, and thanks for coming in and having a chat with us.
Thank you so much, guys. Good night.
There we go then. Eric Delfante having a chat there. And Dylan, again, you just saw that he was... the way that I read that, he seemed quite surprised at how well that he was able to hold on against those BMWs.
He's not really stopped smiling all evening, has he? He's very positive about that one. He was on pole and gets third. I'd be a bit annoyed about that, but no, he's very positive about that. But say he's been getting, I think his best result was probably 5th or 6th this season. Going up to third, yeah, he should. The way he drove today, he has every right to be pleased with himself for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So all that remains then is for us to wrap up. Say a huge thank you to you at home for watching us. This has been the Cammus Community Cup Round 3 from Snetterton, powered by Simsport Racing International, broadcast by Simsport Solutions and racing on Simracing.gp. I've been David Christie, and alongside me has been the one and only Dylan Peck. A huge thank you to you for joining me in the commentary box, and a huge thank you to Steve Proudly behind the scenes, giving us all the awesome camera work for Simsport Solutions. We'll be back next week at the same time for a 90-minute race at Indianapolis. You're not going to want to miss out. Remember to comment on the YouTube video and get yourself in with a chance of winning that Cammus direct drive wheelbase and steering wheel. And head over to Cammus.com for more information on their amazing range of sim racing hardware. For both of us though tonight, we will see you next week. Have a wonderful weekend and take care.